Hello and welcome to Gaming Respawn Reviews. Today we'll be taking a look at Featherpunk Prime. So let's begin. The story is really quite simple. You're a cyber flamingo. Some other guys came, stole all your cyber flamingo friends, and brought them to this tower, which you arrived out in front of and now begin to climb. Presumably they're probably somewhere inside. Maybe, who knows. Now let's talk about the gameplay. Featherpunk Prime is a, ready for it, twin stick shooter, as well as a platformer with roguelike elements. You got all that? That's a lot to cover in one game, but hey, shooter platformer, sorry. But yes, so you get some of the roguelite elements are random levels. Each time you play through, you will get a different level as you go. They are constructed in sections, so you will see a lot of similar sections that make up each level. It's not really the best for completely random games, in my opinion. However, I mean, it does its job. You do get, a different feel, different layout. I have noticed there have been some issues where there are completely inaccessible rooms and stuff, but so far the path to the end has been clear every time. Along with that, you only do have one life each playthrough, so make good use of it. There is an upgrade system as well, and you really need to utilize that, otherwise you don't really get too far. The upgrade system is permanent, similar to maybe Rogue Legacy, where everything you unlock will stay with you the rest of the time. To get those, you gotta collect some tech cells, which is the currency. Unfortunately, doing this kind of makes it feel a bit grindy. During the gameplay, you can unlock different checkpoints, and you find yourself skipping these a bit and going back to the start because you want to collect all the currency you can. I can see it becoming more useful when you're fully upgraded, but until then, not all that useful. Like I said, you want to try and get all those upgrades. Weapon-wise, not a whole lot. Your basic one is a pistol, minigun, shotgun, bouncy bullet gun, crossbow. We got some mines and heat-seeking missiles. You only carry 2 at a time, so you pick and choose, but don't worry, there's always one at the beginning of every level. For me, I basically just stuck with the minigun. Once I found that, I didn't even really bother swapping. Everything seems to have a pretty much identical DPS, so it's really a matter of playstyle preference as far as I'm concerned. In the tower, several different enemy types scattered throughout. None of them are all that troublesome or difficult. The twin stick shooter elements kind of make it rather easy to pick them off at a distance. Your bullets don't seem to disappear off the screen. Well, they'll disappear off the screen, but they're still there, and if you have a clear path, you can actually kill enemies from really far away, provided that path is clear. And I have seen some rather long straight portions throughout. Boss battles, they're a good combo of twin stick shooter bosses and platformer bosses. You got your definite patterns that the bosses will have. With that, the only thing for me would be that they seem to drag on a little bit in time, which of course will change as you get more upgrades. More upgrades, the quicker that'll go. So that's how it is for now. It seems to be really dependent on you getting the upgrades to really kind of fly through the game. Let's talk controls here for a moment. Any platformer, you want to make sure you have nice tight controls. Make sure you don't get any cheap deaths due to non-responsiveness of the character. I haven't encountered that at all in this game. Everything seems nice and tight. Your character does what you want it to do. The only real strange thing for me is that the default jump button is the LB button on an Xbox controller if you're using that. That seems a little bit off-putting. It was really hard to get used to. I quickly remapped that and used the A button. I can see why the LB button was used with where the shoot and aim and everything else is positioned. It makes most sense, but you probably can work out a scheme that may be a little more to your liking with that. That way you can do all the maneuvers, but it is a little jarring at first, or at least it was for me. The twin stick shooting aspect, the aiming on the right stick, slightly touchy for my taste, but not by much. You know, any angle other than your basic cardinal directions were a little bit tough to hold, but other than that, it's pretty solid. Alright, time for graphics and sounds. I've switched to the boss battle here. You can see the cutscenes. They're really beautiful, really well done. Everything's nice, crisp, and uniform. Really looks great. Now, however, the thing that gets me is when you're in the game here, you see everything it's good, but sometimes it doesn't seem to quite match. Some things are a little blurry, while other things are super sharp. And to me, you know, I would like if there was maybe some kind of filter, something kind of tie things in together a little bit better, so everything is a bit more uniform than it is right now. Because there are certain items that just look out of place, like the spikes, for instance, just really stick out compared to everything else. And but you know, like I said, maybe a little filter over top of it, because the cutscenes look great, everything else looks great. It's just there's not enough maybe uniformity between the two. You know, just tone it down a tad, and that should take care of everything. The sounds are fine. I really don't have a whole lot to say. I don't feel like they add a whole lot, but they don't detract either. So they're passable. Alright, let's wrap things up here with some final analysis. Featherpunk Prime does a lot of things okay. Nothing particularly stood out as being really great, but at the same time nothing really stood out as being really bad. So in the end it's just okay, which is alright, I suppose. There isn't anything that really endears me to the game, makes me want to play a whole lot more, but you know, there's nothing that makes me want to just throw it out of the controller and say, oh, screw this. So in the end, I think it kind of suffers from maybe trying to do too many things at once. The twin stick shooter platformer with roguelike stuff is a bit much, and really it might be a little better served to kind of focus on just one or two of those elements and put a little more into those. Probably do without the twin stick shooter, in my opinion. And the randomness probably isn't needed. There's 50 some levels, I believe, in the tower. That's more than enough that you don't really need randomness on top of that. But in the end, like I said, it's an okay game, and because of that, I gave the game a 60. It's passable, but just barely. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.